Brave Adrian.
Hello and welcome to Station42, your weekly content and community-focused Star Citizen talk show. Today's show is hosted by the one and only Traz Ion. Say hello, Traz.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And yours truly, the infamously smooth Vadran Malik.
Let's not forget today's in-fiction sponsor, Vadran.
Baron O'Reilly's Ordnance and Missiles. We search far and wide for the lowest prices, biggest bang for your buck. At Boom, we leave no stone unturned. You want missiles, we get you missiles. You want custom chain cannon, we provide it. Everything you need. While we strive so very hard to find you quality products, we cannot be held responsible for any mishaps, either from you or to you, nor can we be held responsible for any missing assets. Just off the fifth hall in Spider, see the man with the dragonfly running. And remember, we're always 2 clicks away. Click, click, boom.
Oh, very nice, very nice. I like that. Click, click, boom, you say, huh? All right, well, our broadcast is also supported by the Star Citizen Facebook community, also known as Ready Player One, the Star Citizen subreddit, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and all those crazy, amazing content creators, and of course, the amazing people at CIG who keep our community thriving.
And today I'd like to introduce our special guest, Captain Bayne, a fellow Star Citizen killing it all the way from the wonderful desert of Arizona. He's a recent backer in a fleet flagship by the Connie, along with a Saber and a 10 on the side. Currently he is flying with Barrington Organization, where he's a captain in charge of an Endeavor. Hello, Captain Bayne. How's it going?
Hello, hello.
All right, good to have you on, man. I'm gonna love talking to you about being an Endeavor enthusiast. I'm just gonna put that right on out there.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, that, and then of course, flagship with a Connie, man. Connie was my first ship, and if I had to give everything up, it would be the last ship I held on to, too.
Yeah, I understand that. I love that ship.
Oh yeah.
So I've got a question. If you have a long-running agenda, are you endeavoring for an endeavor? If you have a long-running agenda for getting that ship?
Let's
Yeah.
keep the bad puns in my territory, sir. Let's
No,
let's,
no,
let's
no,
just
no,
do
no,
that. Oh man, yeah, no. So this organization, Barrington Org, it's the first time I've heard somebody come on and say, "Well, my org has me assigned as an Endeavor captain." So is it? Tell us a little bit about who you fly with.
Um, I think at this point we got about 10 members. It's not really big just yet. Hopefully that'll change,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that goes.
I know that I'm going to be looking for some individuals to help me man that endeavor that we're talking about. But right now, I call him boss, but his name is Sun Cantera, and he reached out to me and basically said, hey, just like you kind of see on the forums, and they said, this is something I'm doing. I've got these ships. Wanted to know if you'd be interested, and I said, yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic. And it makes my heart sing when I see the networking that happens. I'm a multi-generational gamer, and one of the sorrows that I always sing about has to do with like one of the first games that I really, really got involved in the community. It was back in a time when the whole idea of making friends with people online was just kind of this weird taboo.
Yeah.
And I if I'd kept those connections then to now, I mean, we would just have an amazing org filled with pro gamers that had the perfect chemistry and click. Now it's like you're having to build from scratch all over again. So, anyways.
Yeah. Well, that's something that really drew me to the game, because I've seen some pretty impressive games. I've seen some pretty impressive tech demos that turned out to be vaporware. But in this particular context, you've got, not only do you have this game, you've got the community. And in addition to the community, you've got all this lore that's being put out and all this effort and love that's clearly part of the Star Citizen experience, or at least it is for me.
Oh, yeah.
In
addition to the community and the game, you've got all that money. One would hope, anyway.
Yeah.
It's such a point of boasting how much money has been backed or funded by backers, but at the same time, I don't think there is an amount that is enough, because you can always have more money for additional development.
Yeah.
But anyways. So I don't know about you guys, but the last couple of weeks have been a huge deluge of hype, information, feature leaks, coverage by outside sources, showcases to the PC Gamer magazine and everything. Anyway, I don't even know where to start. There's so many topics. So right in the deep end, guys. Where do you guys want to? What do you want to talk about first?
Graham Hex.
Yeah.
I am excited about that.
I just can't wait to put a big Benny's in it and not get shot.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So what about you, Captain Bayne? Do you are you a consistent flyer in the universe?
I'd say that I try to get in pretty regularly, if for no other reason than to try to keep my Vandal Swarm skills up to date. Now, I usually get it handed to me whenever I try anything in the PU, but that's kind of to be expected, I guess. I haven't been a real, a lifelong. I don't know, flyer fighter in a while. I'm kind of more into the role playing element. I'm kind of excited about the other opportunities. Hence me jumping at the Endeavor when I had the opportunity. The idea of exploring and seeing stuff. It's like
Oh yeah.
everything I've always wanted to do in a game.
Have you dabbled in any kind of piracy or outlawness in the Persist universe?
Not intentionally. I'd have to.
Have you hit and run some poor?
Hey, what does this
some
trigger
child
do?
on a landing platform
Well,
before?
There was. I'd have to say that my most significant incident that got me that pirate status was what I affectionately remember as Port Olisar darts, where I'd had my Merlin, which of course is restricted to the area,
Right.
and I had just got it. I happened to come across a little extra money, and I was like, this is a really nice looking ship. I think it's like the Corvette of the game.
It's got
So
some
I got
really
it, and I
nice
was
lines.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
pretty ship.
real pretty. But functionally, there's not a whole lot you can do with it, and you're not going to be able to go toe to toe with a Hornet or anything like that. So I was just having fun with the speed and flying in the rings of Port Olisar.
I do have
And
to say though, when
you-
you say can't go toe to toe with a Hornet, I am immediately of the feeling of challenge accepted.
oh,
I,
well, you're welcome to try.
well, that's the thing is there is and there isn't a lot of content in the game right now. On the one hand, you have the people who are like, well, there's really nothing to do, and I get it, because it's just combat. But then it's funny, small statements like that will spring something in your mind. You're like, you know what? I haven't flown that ship in weeks or a month.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go fly that. I'm gonna go try to see what I can tackle.
Same way with my freelancer.
Yeah.
It's all about being inspired, I think, to be excited about the universe so far. The people that just try it, give it a spin, and they're like, okay, I've done the ICC missions, I've done the PI mission, I've been to Korea, okay, I'm done. What else? It's like, dude, there's so much more, but you have to be a little more patient. Yeah, you be a
Yeah.
little more patient, a little more creative too.
Yeah,
So-
if you're gonna, if I really never have a problem with people that do that. The whole thing that bugs me is the people that'll go and say they'll do all the missions and they'll get through it, and then they'll go and whine or gripe or post something on the forum, and it's just this giant long spiel of text that says, basically troll tears.
Well,
What?
it's content as much as I want it to. I mean, it's hard. It's hard because you're like, man, I want to log in, and I'm like, well, why? I've done everything, but really, I haven't. There's always more to do. Like, when was the last time you've been racing?
Well, I mean, like, go play Sins of a Solar Empire for 6 months and come back. I mean, don't neg somebody or beat people down based on the premise of you're not getting what you want right away. Just try out some of the other functions, try them out, see if you like them, see if you don't.
Well,
Then go away for a while, and then come back to it. And that's the rational way to look at this. I mean, this is going to take a while.
Well, I think most people understand it now, at least. I mean, we used to see a lot more of those complaints, a year ago or 6 months ago. But these days, it's pretty well understood that content, polish, balance, all three of those things, which are really nice, and we all want it. Those are all beta, and we're not at beta yet. So we're still working on features and just stability.
I got to do something with that. I've got to do something later with a commercial for Troll Tears.
Nah.
There's some
The hardest.
Yeah.
Some of the hardest things to find.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing in the verse? Like when you managed to go pirate, did you make the most of that and run with it,
Well,
or did you
and
like try to shut it off?
it was, like I said, it was unintentional because I had done everything that I could think to do with the Merlin within that particular area. I'd tried to fly around all the rings and
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and whatnot. And you do what you do when you get to a point where, okay, I'm done. I'm going to do something else. At the time I had a freelancer and I was going to get in there because I just really loved how I loved the cannons. They were amazing. But
Yes.
I decided that I was going to be done with that, so I did what you always do, and you fly your Merlin as quickly as possible into the space station, just because why not? Unfortunately, the pad that I had randomly chosen to fly at on full throttle under boost. Right as I was approaching the point where there was nothing I could have done about it, I assume it was a Mustang Beta or something like that,
Spawned.
popped up on the port. So I hit it at full throttle, and I'm sure, I don't think he was out there yet,
Right.
So I probably
Oh,
didn't
you
see
hope
him.
not.
But, I'm not exactly sure what would have happened for him. Would he come out there and have been like, "Where's my ship?" Or, I'm not exactly sure what happened, because I was,
he-
locked in my room.
It would have been
Um,
funny because he would have seen his like crater of a ship spiraling out into space, and you basically get a ping. You get like a little radar tracking on your ship. So he's
yeah.
sitting there watching his ship travel away from him for some ungodly reason, and you don't know why.
Yeah. Well, it's like my Hornet likes to take off by itself and fly
Yeah.
roughly to where
Yes.
the rings are, and so I'll go up there, and of course when I get there, and it's like it like knows that I'm there, and I'll activate it, and my ship will of course spawn back down at the port again. So I'll have to go all the way down there and hope that nobody's taking my ship by the time that I get down there. But hey, it's it's
Yeah,
fun. So
that was a pretty tough bug during the last PTU phase.
yeah.
Every single time you would go out on the platforms, your ships would be hovering up above, and like some of them you could walk underneath and they would drop down right on top of you. They would just pop. Others you actually had to go off EVA, float your way up, and then you would get in the ship, and as you're getting in, it would pop down.
Yeah.
It was really hilarious, but
Sometimes the
it's-
Warlock actually does some really fun stuff. If you go and you hop into so the Titan doesn't have this problem because you can enter through the back, and the Stalker doesn't have this problem. It's only specifically with the Warlock. What'll happen is you'll hop out of it in EVA, and when you EVA, you clip through the canopy of, and so what'll happen is it'll actually push the ship from a really really far direction because you're stuck in the canopy for a split second. It'll basically slingshot your ship out in the middle of space. So, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think everybody who's done any time exploring at all has experienced the, oh my god, as they drift away from their ship at like 200,000
yeah.
kilometers
Yeah.
per second.
You're
It's like
wondering.
faster than warp speed.
It's like I found the best gun in the game. It shoots people. It's like
Well,
really.
then you get to the point where you respawn, and because you have to kill yourself because you're in the middle of space, and then of course you can see that little dot that tells you that your freelancer is
Yeah.
like, 2 billion miles away.
Yeah, and it's still traveling, still going.
And
Still
if
going.
If it's not going too fast, I always love trying to chase it and catch it. and
Yes,
destroy
yes.
it.
I'll.
Yeah,
I like,
in
to
a
clean up, I
heartbeat.
like to clean up my trash.
That's the thing.
some emergent gameplay, as they say.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
yeah. Well, you hop into your Vanguard and you go chase down your rogue running away freelancer that's just steadily tumbling randomly for no damn reason.
Oh yeah.
I've done it several times. It's fun. Go and play catch the ship.
Yeah, I've spent a bit of time playing the outlaw in the verse just because like I'll try to do all the different things and I'll earn all the things and eventually I'll be like, okay, it's time to practice. So I find that the early levels of being an outlaw, like 1 through 4, is kind of difficult because it's actually hard to find a place where you can actually get a player to engage you and stick around long enough for one person or the other to die, because you can stalk them at a comm array and hope that they come in and try to turn it off, or you can or you can try, trolling other places. But a lot of the places where players would park, like Korea, it's outside of sensor coverage range, so you can't really escalate your criminal level, even if you were to kill people or commit a crime.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and because I wanted to explore both sides and see
Yeah.
like the challenge, and so it really involved you actually kind of your whole gameplay style changes. You have to become like the cat, so you're hovering at like 20,000 clicks or 20 clicks out from a comm array that's been shut down, waiting for somebody to come in and turn it on, and I've seen people on YouTube where they'll self-destruct their ship and go sit inside the comm array with their FPS weapon and wait. There's a and I've actually been attacked by somebody who was doing that, which was pretty adrenaline. It was great.
There's a really lame background video of me trying to snipe a person out in the middle of the ICC missions. I couldn't catch the damn guy for nothing. It was like I was shooting at a flea.
Dude, that sniper rifle sucks ass right now.
Apparently, I found out the hard way.
Yeah. But
So what are you looking forward to the most in Grimhex? Speaking of piracy, I've been wanting to know about some of the FPS levels. What do you think is going to be there? You think it's going to be kind of like a gauntlet, or do you think it's going to be kind of an open field?
I don't know. I think a lot of that depends on how exactly, because they've made mention of having other ways of, I guess, discouraging that whole area from becoming a massive FPS level. It kind of depends on how they do that, I guess.
I'm super excited to hear them talk about executing those kinds of gameplay culture. I dare say, so early on, because like I don't know if you guys remember the difference between like 2.3 and 2.4, but when they changed the way the reputation system worked to where you're getting locked in a thing and your ship costs money. Now all of a sudden all those random douchebags that were just blowing you up for no reason, really went down. Like it still happens occasionally, but normally now if somebody's going to shoot you, they have a reason. It makes much more sense in fiction, so you don't really have random trollery, so to speak, and that's exciting. Like I really like the idea. I've never liked the idea of a magic armistice zone, but I like repercussions. Whether you're being a good guy or a bad guy, I always want there to be a strong set of reasoning that where you're going to self-moderate because it benefits you, because starting a fight that you can't finish or isn't profitable is going to involve so much damage that you're just not going to engage in that fight unless you're actually on a mission.
Yeah.
So, just from personal experience, though, there's nothing more satisfying than taking a Delta out to Kovalex and just like two little rockets, and then boom, their ship's like spinning, and off into the distance.
That, but when they implement it where we can no longer respawn our ships for free, and the only way to repopulate your missiles
Darth Vader
isn't even to log out and log back in, but you're going to have to go to Cryastro and pay for those.
And pay for those things, which are expensive.
They are.
Yeah.
They're so expensive. Right now, the most expensive thing is replacing missiles. Then fuel is also really expensive. So,
right.
Whereas the repair costs on damaged components is actually rather low. So what that tells me is that right now they're testing they're encouraged by keeping the cost of repairs low. They're not overly punishing people for not being the best pilot, nor are they punishing people for wanting to engage in combat, because they still want people to do that. They want that to be a core gameplay feature, but by making the cost of fuel so expensive, it really means that you got to be. It's almost like Serenity and Firefly. It's all about making that next payday. Otherwise, your ship's just not going to get to its destination.
Well, could they be actually going in and saying, okay, so they're right beside Crusader. Crusader actually makes ships. So is it possible that they're actually trying to design a philosophy to where the ship's repair parts are just incredibly low near Crusader, but the missiles and all the other things might be cheaper at Stanton, possibly? It fits a lore perfectly right there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's a testing ground. I think that's what they're going to always try to do. But, lore-wise, it does make sense, too.
It does.
You guys still there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, can you hear us? Are you good?
Yeah, everyone just got real quiet.
Oh. Well, All I can say to that is I think that right now it's probably more just about testing the mechanics and encouraging or discouraging certain things. Like the missiles are probably still expensive because they don't want them just willy nilly. But I think once we get to the beta and we get to where we actually have systems that you jump through, money says that those kinds of cost differentials will definitely will play a part in the game.
Yeah.
So,
Quick question.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that this is just my speculation for a while? Are the Arena Commander missiles actually dumbed down?
I don't know.
I think that they are. I think that the real missiles that you get in the PU, being that they're so expensive, I'm betting that they will be much, much better.
Well,
Well, think about it like this: from
I think
the
the missiles right now suck, but from all the reports I see about Arena Commanders, there's a lot of crying about missiles being available
well, yeah,
and active in there at all because you have the people that just come in and spam.
they spam missiles, and so they're dumbed down for the sake of making the game playable for the people that don't have missiles or don't use missiles. I could see that would be the case because
I don't think they're working on two sets of data right now.
I don't. I think that they might have just left the missiles kind of stupid, and I'm thinking that the missiles that we'll have in
Generally,
game
yes,
will
but
be
if
much better.
I hope so. I hope that they are worth their money. I mean, I hope they're
They better
absolutely
be.
worth gold. I think that missiles need to be overhauled so that they actually have a cruise speed, so that they can catch up to you if you're at a cruise speed. Like they have an acceleration where they accelerate up to a cruise speed when they're closing the distance, and when they get close to you, they decelerate down. And that their ability to flip 180 and change direction and course correct is much more advanced, so that unless you're using countermeasures, outflying a missile is very difficult. I hope, but I also hope that that's covered by the cost being prohibitive as far as using them poorly. And but of course that cannot happen while you can just go back to Port Olisar and respawn. And I know you want to talk. I'm sorry.
I know I'm having, but that's the thing about it, though. I think that we got a taste of that whenever we looked at the size 4 missiles from the Gladiator. I'm thinking that the Gladiator's missiles actually kind of showcased what they really intended the missiles to be, and then they had to retard them because everybody would just roll with Gladiator and just shoot up the. I'm thinking that's what we're going to see. Is we're going to see in really, really intelligent, because the very first run of the Gladiator, those missiles were completely on point. They were very, very effective. You would sit there and watch them chase a guy all across the map.
So what about you, Bayne? Do you I know you were talking about doing a lot of Vandal Swarm to stay sharp, and you play in the Persistent Universe a bit. Do you ever spend any time in Arena Commander? I mean, I'm sorry, not AC, but like Battle Royale or any of the team squad versus squad stuff like that.
I think every time that I went to try, there was something going on, because if it wasn't Vandal Swarm, it was like I couldn't get connected. I don't know if it was. I don't know. And I'd have to be honest, the idea of getting in there with some real pilots and getting my ass handed to me isn't something that I'm generally excited about. But I know that, it feels good to get to that wave 18, and I'd have to say that a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was rocking a Hornet. I didn't really know how to fly. And then later on, when I got the Saber, things changed significantly. So I'll probably try some Battle Royale or some of the other things now. But
Nice.
just to begin with, I just, I don't know if I wasn't good or if it was just too many connection issues for me. But
the connection stuff really does kill. But
That was a very nice Freudian slip, by the way. I just wanted to say that.
what?
Freudian slip. The pilot.
No, I'm probably more on the other side. I'm probably I'm a good line character, I'd say.
So I hear my mic is low in the chat, but I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what to do to fix it right now.
He is booming to us.
Am I? Am I booming?
Yeah,
to you
you're
guys?
plenty loud.
Okay. Yeah. See.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with my settings, and we fixed it before. I've got to talk to my old tech and see what it was he did to fix it. So, I'm sorry, guys. I'll get it done.
Paying him helps. I understand that. That's the quickest way to get a hold of him.
Yeah. No. When the first time when I first started getting into Battle Royale, it is such a night and day difference in how you have to fly and fight and be situationally aware from the Vandal Swarm that they're almost not comparable. So there is definitely growing pain. So when you're ready to do it, it's kind of like racing. If you jump in the racing map and you wreck out 1, 2, 3 times, you're going to be like, oh, this sucks. I suck at this. But if you sit down and you take a whole morning and you're like, I'm going to focus on it. You pick a ship and you do the curve, you wreck, you go back, you reset, you do the curve, you do the curve, you do the curve until you get it, until you get the whole course down. And then all of a sudden, you've spent a morning, and by the end of the morning, you're like, wow, I'm actually pretty good. Now, like, you can place against any racer except for the guys that do it all the time. And it's kind of the same way with the PvP, I find. If you spend a week, and or maybe record yourself, go back, look at your videos, and you're like, oh, that's where I messed up, or oh, I didn't catch that. You'll find that you'll get better and you'll get quicker. Other than just the old rough and tumble, do it over and over again mantra, having a good control scheme. Once you get truly comfortable with how you fly, that makes a big difference too. So, and it helps.
Yeah.
It helps in the persistent universe as well. So.
Yeah, well, and I'd have to say that given the fact that I haven't been doing this for as long as you guys have, I kind of was going through the last 6 months or so, all the stuff that you guys have figured out years ago. Which vessels, which ships work best for you, your particular flying style, whether or not you're going, with gimbaled weapons or whatever it is that's your particular thing. You've sorted all that out, and you've experimented enough with all of those different things to have an idea of, what you're going to look forward to with a specific ship or how you're going to handle yourself in a particular engagement. But for me, I'm still kind of going through that, and I'm like, oh, cool, I can turn my ship around and face the other direction while I'm flying in that direction. I didn't even know that was called.
Oh, right,
and,
decoupled.
Yeah, I didn't even understand how to use that mechanic for a while. So for me, Vandal Swarm is a good place for me to get in there and figure those things out.
Absolutely.
Try to avoid smashing into an asteroid, and every now and then accidentally killing something. So it's
when you get so proficient at it, though, eventually you won't even realize that you're flying through asteroids. It'll become second nature to you'll basically, as you're flying, you'll be able to just kind of weave through the asteroids and not even really give it any attention.
Yeah. Well, and I have found that kind of at the end of long play sessions where I, because there for a while, my whole goal, my whole driving thing was to get that, to get the wreck so that I could go and, rent the next ship and then have an opportunity to fly that around. The only thing is, I went through that process and, I'd go from ship to ship to ship and, until I figured out that I have absolutely positively I have to own a Saber. But up until that point, I had flown so many different ships and they have different flight profiles and they work differently with different loadouts. And then there was that whole transition between the holo table and then, using the port modification system. And, so for me, it's like, I'm sure some people are kind of tired of some of the systems and the changes, but for me it's exciting because it's like, that hollow system really didn't work for me, but this is kind of cool, so right. For me everything is fresh and new, and it kind of drives my excitement about not just the game but some of the other things.
So what you're telling me is you haven't played with Rattler missiles yet?
I was going to get some of the Rattler missiles, but during my research phase, because I'm an obnoxious researcher, I was told that, or I got information that it indicated that the Rattler missiles would basically cause everything to crash. So
they did for a while,
that's the best thing about the missile.
Okay.
It's like an instant game reboot. All I got to do is fire a missile and start over.
Yeah, and then I started seeing all this, people just absolutely flipping out on, Reddit or on the RSI forums about people using missiles and stuff. And, I didn't really want to be part of the problem. And, I could stand to be better just using normal weapons before I really started exploring that to its fullest potential. So, when I get in there, I generally try to avoid firing missiles unless it's absolutely necessary,
Yeah, generally I like to come armed with them, and I like to save them. If they fire missiles, I fire missiles, And generally, missiles, I find, are more about... They're not good enough right now, so all they do... it depends on the pilot, the person I'm squaring off against. But a lot of times, all it does is cause them to maneuver. So while they're maneuvering, I'm using that time to try to line up a shot. So... Yeah, I never really expect my missiles to hit.
And the way
Yeah.
that I had learned how to do it was to actually take the missiles whenever you're in the middle, like say that you're actually about to do a head-on joust with somebody. If you know that that's going to be the situation in the air combat or in the space combat, you just go and you line up that missile. You have it locked on for a long time, so that when you're like maybe 800 clicks out, you just launch the missile so that it basically lands into their cockpit.
Yeah. It wouldn't matter if it was a
It's
dummy
just
missile
like
anyway. It just
It's like jousting. Then it's like here.
yeah.
So you mentioned decoupled. Do you toggle into decoupled? Do you fly primarily regular coupled, and then just decouple to do the where you drift backwards and shoot at your target that's chasing you?
I would say that for some reason or another, I found that to be a logistically wise thing to become good at. So I started practicing doing that, in Vandal Swarm. So I would intentionally fly by somebody or something and practice coupling and decoupling so that I could get turned around real fast and unload and load into their profile. Usually,
Right.
hopefully they're heading upward so that
Yes,
I've got a
yes.
wider
Cross section.
target to side out. So just trying to get really the mechanics down. I'm a keyboard and mouse player,
Okay.
and that's primarily because I don't have $400 to blow on a HOTAS, but
Well,
other than
for 100, you could do dual Thrustmaster T1600, T16,000s, and those, even though they're made of plastic, not like the super nice, Warthog, they do have the internals are the same. So they've got the HAL sensors. So yeah, and don't get that one. That one's terrible. But now and controls are a real big thing because even if you switched over to stick, you'll have your growing pains with that too. So I will say this though, mouse keyboard, man, it's not so much about the aiming device. Like stick is gonna fly better. Like you're gonna feel right. Like you're gonna feel like you fly, and the quality and precision of your flight will improve when you pick it up, especially in the universe. But for just dogfighting and swarm and things like that, mouse is fine as an aiming device. But
Yep.
it's that left hand that kills you because you're using, the WASD, the three fingers, and you're having to
Mhm.
I
control all
was
your
just about
strafes,
to say that.
and you're controlling your throttles. And instead of having analog control on those things, it's all binary. And then on top of that, you're having to control like targeting and all this other stuff.
The only
It's
thing I want is a throttle.
Right. Well, and the
Yeah.
thing is whenever you do change out that left-handed solution,
Mhm.
make sure that you find something that has an analog input that you can use for strafes. It doesn't matter if you're using a stick, because that can work for strafing if you're using a left-handed stick, or if you get a throttle that has a thumbstick, make sure that the thumbstick is analog, so that way you can micro adjust or full bore adjust for the left, right, up, down. Because then all of a sudden you're taking four directions and you're putting it on a single finger. Whereas before you're using like three fingers to do like everything. So it immediately frees things up. It helps a lot. I would say the order of operation or the order of priority for the devices that you buy would actually be like throttle, left-handed throttle, pedals, and then a stick. Although technically pedals are kind of expensive, and I'd probably do the twin sticks. That's probably the cheapest, most high quality bang for your buck.
Yeah. Well, I've personally found that, in lieu of having a throttle or pedals or anything along those lines, that when I started looking into voice attack and all those, the
Yes.
speech recognition stuff, that really brought the game to a new level of enjoyment for me.
Yes.
Even though it felt kind of weird barking all these orders, and I started out with the Anna profile, and then I went to the what is
the
it?
new HCS voice
Yeah,
packs.
the HCS voice packs, but I liked Astra. I had no interest in any of the other, like the well-known voice actors and whatnot. I mean, that's cool, but for some reason or other, I just liked Astra better. And
So
then I had
is Astra like recorded sound clips that play for the different things, or is it a text to speech?
it's actually recorded. All that
Okay.
information is mapped, and
Nice.
and for me, it was kind of a bummer going from some of the custom things that I had gone in there and actually programmed voice attack to be able to say, I had changed
I
the name of the
love
ship, and I mean, and it was really cool, but at the same time, speech the speech synthesis isn't perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
What voice do you
so
use with your text to speech when you were using
Snoop
it?
Dogg.
uh, you know what?
Did you use
Sorry.
a
I'm sorry.
custom? Did you?
It was one of the Microsoft ones, but not
Okay.
one of the like the default like Windows
Oh God,
ones. You know, you
Microsoft
actually had to like
Sam.
no, no.
Oh,
It
Was
wasn't
it
that. I
was
mean,
it
it was like
Nicole?
you know what? I think it might have been Nicole.
Because
Yeah.
I had to pay for that. It was like $45, but it was totally worth it because it was the Australian voice chick.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was very nice. And that's my thing. I was like, I own the HCS voice pack and I still haven't even installed it. I need to. I've been so bad about the voice attack stuff lately because I have everything mapped that all my primary controls I can reach. I don't actually need it for anything other than like my shield facings and power system management. Like, and I really, I mean, and I love voice attack. I've used it to death. My normal profile, which was before Anna ever released, I custom built, and I love it. It's very uniform. I can accelerate the speed that she reads at for all my combat commands,
Wow.
and then when I'm out of combat, she talks all normal. But
Nice.
yeah, and I like that. Unfortunately, I really want to try out these cool HCS packs because they sound amazing. They're recorded
Yeah.
for it, but I also can't type in what I want them to say. So it's I don't know, man.
Yeah, that was the trade-off for me. I very much enjoyed having all these pre-configured things, but it went from creating this, custom responses to whatever it is that you say, which is really cool. It personalizes the experience for you, to having the ease of all those, logical steps broken down for you and whatnot when it comes to actually having the profile. The problem that I found is that after I made that switch, it was very difficult for me to identify the specific commands that I need to be giving. So I would go
Yeah.
through and I would, spend a considerable amount of time, either looking at the documentation or looking through the actual
Memorizing.
profile
Now, is
itself,
that
trying to memorize things. So I have this other monitor up on my, next to my big screen. I play Star Citizen on, and I have all those digital stickies that are part of the Windows environment, and I would put all my little cheat note things to say up there, and
now
that would help, but.
was that with Anna, or you had already mastered Anna, and then when you moved over to the HCS voice packs, that's where you're.
Yeah, that's where I ran into the problem,
Okay.
because I'd had all these things that I had configured with Anna to say, and train the computer to recognize my specific dialogue and all that, and it was really good, and then I went for the voice pack, and it was really good, but the problem is that didn't I didn't really understand that I was going to have to redo all of those things that I had done before.
Yeah.
It just didn't occur to me. I mean, I
I think
understood, but
honestly that's why I'm holding off. I figure I'll own it, and then eventually, because they keep changing the hotkeys and things like that.
yeah.
So when I come to it, I want to be able to like plug it in because I've done my best to leave everything default on the mouse keyboard side of things.
Mhm.
Because I have everything custom on the HOTAS. But so hang on, man. Like you're a pro voice actor. When are you gonna? Are you not gonna record some of your own?
You know what? I hear enough of my own voice when I'm doing these lore casts, and the idea of playing and me giving an order and having my voice respond back is probably a bit too. I don't know, my wife already says that you're doing this because you like to hear your own voice, and and I don't want to give any more fuel for that fire. So I think I'll avoid.
Adrian, what you
Hey,
got, man?
that could be like a Patreon bonus, though, is to actually make your own voice pack
Yeah,
and
the
give it out to
community,
people.
man. The
Hey,
community. It's not for you. It's for us. We
Yeah.
want we demand.
Yeah, if there's somebody that actually just really likes the clean voice, then you can go ahead and use that, and that would be something that you could offer to them as a Patreon pledge, maybe.
Or
Hey, that's
you could emulate Kid Crimson. I mean, if if your voice becomes what's synonymous with that story, and that character is very iconic to the Star Citizen lore and history, I mean, why not?
Hey, who knows? Yeah, I mean, I was exploring the idea of doing like full 5.1 surround, lore casts with the surround sound effects and whatnot. But you know what? If I was asked, I'd probably say yes. That'd be pretty cool.
Oop, hang on, and I totally forgot that hang on. There we go.
Am I zooming, or are you zooming, or what?
Got it. No, I forgot to tap in the next video for the background. They're like, "Hey, where'd the video go?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, my bad, guys. Sorry about that." So, I have a series of different videos that are specific for backgrounding and so. The last one was showcasing the Starfarer and some various Starfarer related acrobatics. So, anyways.
I'd always wondered how that worked.
Oh yeah. It's learning the Twitch stream and OBS and all that. It's been crazy. It's been a lot of fun. Like I'm really enjoying it. But I mean, there's so many different things to it. I mean, we'll ask you those questions too when it comes to, because I mean, you're new to the community and jumped right in, and you've got a very polished presence and tons of all the sites. You got every point. Boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're just set up, and I'm definitely curious to like. I mean, is that like? Do you come from a background like?
Yeah, I've spent some time in oh. I've spent some time doing web development, interface design. I've done that professionally, in my career. So, in addition to my comment earlier about having done a lot of research, when I decided that I was going to do this, I said, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I don't want to have to worry about setting this, podcast up and then having everything, something go wrong and I have to switch providers or media host or something like that. And then, I lose subscribers or whatever, so I basically started out with what I didn't want to happen. And I developed a way to avoid that from happening. So with that, I started adding all the different various platforms that I anticipated that I might need, and I wanted to be able to get myself out there and get the SCLoreCast, not just for myself but for StarCitizen, and kind of help promote the game to the widest possible audience.
Yeah, no, I mean, I it's very impressive. My response when I joined the StarCitizen universe was, I founded the Facebook group. And the unofficial one, because I used to be an RSI forum rat back when the forums were much more pleasant, and there was a point where it just started to get a little less pleasant, I guess. It was like, I remember, because you had general chat, and then eventually you had the subscriber chat, and then eventually you had a concierge chat. It's like at each level, it seemed like the people that had put in the most, I mean, and not to generalize, but basically, right, like, that extra paywall or that extra tier kind of buffered you. But then on the flip side of that, as you go up that, then you end up with a more of an elitist mentality at the top too, and it's like, that's just as anyway, right. So I founded the StarCitizen unofficial Facebook group, and it's been 3.5 years, going on 4 years, growing it, and I love the community, but that was I guess how I gave back, and I don't know, I love the community. I love what this game, the potential of it. It's going to be a multi-decade game. It'll probably be pan-generational, maybe even. It's really ambitious in what it's going to do, and I'd had a similar experience with EverQuest 1 when it first came out, which was one of the first-gen MMOs back in the days of Ultima Online, and later on you had like the very beginnings of World of Warcraft, and and you had Star Wars Galaxies and things like that, and those kinds of games just aren't made now, because those were kind of visionary in their time, and once they were proven to be awesome, they got bought out, overhauled, and repainted for mass consumption and thoroughly wrecked. If you were a hardcore gamer, you were absolutely betrayed by what happened within that genre. Now you can pick up any MMO. It doesn't matter how good it looks. It doesn't matter what cool newly spun game mechanic they might be featuring in this one game. You get in and it's the same damn game. It's the same damn game. And Star Citizen, because it's going to be free of the tendrils of the corruption, I guess, the profit
it's
motive.
going to be free of corporate influence from outside sources.
Yeah, right.
Trying to please everyone instead of their core
Trying to
core
please the
demographic.
shareholder.
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
please their stockholder. I mean, they got to show a profit in some of these companies, and so if they don't, then they lose their investment money, and they all lose their jobs.
Right, and it's all short term. Whereas this is a long term. This is like a privately held company as opposed to a publicly held company where the CEO has 5 years to make the company as profitable as possible, and then he has to get out. In this case, you can stick to your guns, stick to your idea, and if you believe in it, and your backers believe in you, you're gonna get there. And I just think that that's what we've got. We're gonna have something that's gonna be unlike anything before it, and probably unlike many things that come after it for quite a long time. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. But
So how about them Tarvarin? There you go. Gotta say that one.
I didn't mean to get off on a segue, but
Hang on.
basically I was just saying that man, like I'm seeing someone else come in and do something for the community.
This is
That
one
was
of those
what I was
episodes. This is one of those episodes where we do the guest interview first, and then we cover all the news. So there we go.
We can do that. Don't you
Yeah,
judge
well,
me. Don't
I'm
you
not
judge me.
I'm not judging. I'm just altering the show.
Yeah, man. So yeah, no. So if you're a big fan of lore, what do you think about the Tavarin? We haven't seen face or design document or anything on them yet.
The first time I've actually met a Tavarin or Tavarin was recently with Orbital Supermax episode number 1. Believe it or not, that's the first time I had heard of him when the main character meets Asari. So for me, it's just like, okay, who's this guy? And of course, maybe it's not the best introduction to the individuals because he's like a genocidal maniac. But that's about all I know about it. It seems sort of like a I don't know. I'll say that there's probably more room for research on that particular bit, but my first encounter I can't say is necessarily positive.
For some odd reason, and I never can get this out of my mind. Every time I think of them, I always think of kobolds. I always think of little green lizard dogs that are barking at you.
I was killing kobolds today on EverQuest emulator. The Warrens.
Wow. So we know about. Well, okay. So the only thing that we really know is that they have the Prowler. We know that they're a subjugated human race, subjugated race by humans. So there's probably some that are friendly. There's probably some that are resentful. There's supposedly stockade caches of weapons and ordnance and other random things hiding on certain planets. And if I was breezing through the what is it, the Galactopedia, the damn star map, I actually managed to stumble on one of the planets that said that they had recently found a cache of Tavaran weapons, but nobody was around to safeguard them or check them out. Beyond that, I think that they are just, if I had to peg them, I'd say that some of them are biding their time, waiting for the UEE to be in a dire strait, and then they turn their back on us.
It'll be interesting to see. I don't know.
Well, they're like a subjugated slave race, and that's kind of like where Rome had like a whole bunch of subjugated people, and whenever all shit hit the fan.
I don't know that they're a slave race so much as they're a second-class citizen that's just forced to integrate themselves and not really given a whole lot of love in the process of that. But
they're the Apache Indian basically of the UEE.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting to see like how much of the lore is written from the perspective of it was the UE historians that wrote that lore, and then maybe later on in the game, the lore that we find out in game will contradict that and give a more balanced opinion. Because as far as we know, the Tavaran, they attacked us despite being outgunned technologically and chose to press that fight to the point where it pushed them to near extinction. So as far as we know, even though they may have an honorable society and they may have some good traits, at least, but that's just the lore that's published, and it's published from the perspective of UE.
Yeah, they had a codex, didn't they?
Okay.
They had a codex.
You just helped me connect some dots during my research phase and trying to get caught up as possible with the general lore and the timeline that they've outlined so far. I do remember now the Tavaran Wars,
Right.
and that's where wasn't that where Messer had his successes that led to? Okay, all right. So I'm guessing they're still a little grumpy about that.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
yeah, and probably for valid reasons. Um, but
Wait,
as
Mikito.
it stands, a slight correction to my earlier statement. It's not episode 1 where I run into my first Taveran. It's episode 2, which I am currently working on. So,
Nice.
everybody who's heard episode 1 and they're wondering, okay, where was this guy? He hasn't happened yet, and I'm sorry.
There you go.
Ooh,
Well-
see, that'll be interesting too. So, like, does he have any voice parts? Are you gonna have to voice him?
I've actually recruited somebody that I work with who I think has a really cool voice to do that particular part. So normally I just kind of pull from my friends or whoever happens to be nearby. I've got my little RO5, and I'm like, hey man, you've got a really cool voice. Can you do a couple of lines for me? And of course, in circumstances where I can't find somebody to do a particular part, outside of female voices, I basically try to do my best to do them all without sounding too cheesy. But in this particular context, I was like, no, this guy seems like he's going to be a pretty major part of the story, and I think that it'll really add some dynamic elements to it if I can find somebody else who's committed to helping me with this. And I've got somebody in episode 2 who's actually doing the voice of one of the main guys. I'm working with him regularly. I'm pretty excited about that. Curtis, shout out to you. And then
Is that Curtis, our techie Marines?
Yeah,
Seven
that's
check-
him.
Oh man, good people. That. Oh,
yeah.
He's
So
been on the show here with us.
oh, cool. Well, he's lending his voice to a character named
Excellent.
Wes Morgan, and he's done an excellent job. I'm mixing in all those things now. I'm just trying to get the final bits of lines from a few other individuals who are doing the parts for episode 2, including Asari, who's the Taveran that we're going to be meeting, and I'm assuming working with throughout the rest of the story.
Very nice. Yeah, no, I'm excited to hear it. I'm a big fan. Are you So I mean, with your focus on lore, are you a big reader? You read a lot of sci fiction,
Yeah.
or anything really. What reading any good books lately?
I like fantasy. I like fiction, science fiction. So I go between Card and Jordan. Those are probably my go-to guys. I think I'm
haven't
on.
read the most recent Robert Jordan's. I read
Yeah.
through twice, and then I have a hard time motivating myself to read through to get to book 10 and 11 or wherever he's at now.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of content there, but I'll be honest. I read the Card, and I have a few of the Jordan books, but I've got the Jordan books, the Wheel of Time series, on audiobook.
Okay.
And before I started doing, and that was probably a contributing factor to one of my decisions to do this, because I was like, you know what, I can do that. And so I listened to him on audiobook, and I've got a pretty hefty ride from my house to work, so I've got 20-25 minutes that I can listen to. So over the course of several months, I've managed to get all the way up to I think book 7 now.
Nice.
Yeah,
Book 6, man. Book 6.
yes, yeah,
Raise the shields.
yeah,
Oh, that
very,
was just,
very
was
cool
just-
stuff.
yeah. Have you ever
But,
read? Oh gosh, now I'm gonna totally brain flop the name.
Well, he's brain flopping.
Eh,
So what do you think? Okay, so asteroid racing. What do you think about that one? Come on now. We've got so supposedly there's this race track underneath Grimhex. I'm guessing that's what it's about.
Oh yeah, no, that's going to be awesome. And that's something that I was
free.
that I was
Hey!
surprised that somebody hadn't figured out a way to do in the PU somewhere anyway. You know what I mean? When they said that, I was like, why haven't we been doing that already?
Well, the
You know?
whole thing is, I think we need to have a deployable. We need to have something that you can deploy, and it unfolds and then projects one of those holographic rings, so that we, the players, could set up our own courses. That would be really interesting. But,
Yeah, I'd put that right by a comma ray turret. I would love to do that. That would be funny. Just make you fly straight into a gun barrel.
No, I think that's going to open up a whole level of hype.
Ass hattery.
Man, yeah, but that's going to be That's going to be good, and that'll be something, I'm not very good racer either, so I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing with a spaceship, and I'm not really good with FPS either, so I don't know. But
Little Timmy died to make this racetrack. He got too close to the corona of the star.
yeah,
Make sure
I'll,
that you don't go the exact same course little Timmy did, okay?
I'll tell a story about it or something. I don't know, but anyway, that's something that I do say that I will probably find time to log in and sit and watch races.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely, that's
oh
gonna be
man.
killer.
Are you going to be an announcer? You want to come on? You want to come on the
Hey,
team? I mean,
hey,
I know you've got a main gig, but
Traz,
no, what is
we
that?
gotta cover beards and hair too. Come on,
Oh,
come on,
oh
yeah,
gosh.
well, here.
come on.
Hey, we're talking Endeavor talk here. You leave us alone,
You're
man.
endeavoring to endeavor about the Endeavor talk. You
Oh,
endeavoring.
well, so hey man, he's got voice talent. He's doing lore. Like it would make sense that maybe you should be the next um, you know announcer for Star Citizen Racing. Get in there, trying to be inspired,
Hey,
be a muse.
I can't say I'd turn my nose up at it. That's for true.
Right on, man. Right on. But yeah, okay. So what are we moving on to? We're moving on to beards. Is it really? Is that
Beards.
what you
Yeah,
want to talk about?
one at a
Yes,
time.
yes. I want to talk about Tavaran beards.
So okay, so what brought that topic up is they just put out the town hall, right? So the monthly town hall where they got together and the artists were talking about some of the different things, and some of the questions were revolved around how is hair coming along with characters? Because character customization is happening. They've talked about facial customization. Like early on, we're gonna have, I guess they have like 100 heads scanned, and then eventually, like at first, we'll be able to pick from various character heads for our characters, and then eventually we'll be able to go into like a facial modeler, and you'll basically be able to draw traits from those 100 heads and like pull them to the front. So basically you'll be able to make an amalgamation, so it'll be a little bit customizing, but it won't necessarily be super granular. I don't know. We'll see how that works. So and hence the question was, well, what about beards and hair? So apparently, yes on beards. Yes on beards.
I can totally see somebody actually going if they're going about this the way that I think that they are. I could totally see somebody making Obama as a playable character.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, if you can make an approximation of somebody famous by mixing and matching those 100
Well, they've done it in
different
Fallout.
faces.
They've
Well,
done it in
yeah,
Fallout,
but
so
I don't know that we're gonna see that level of customization
I don't
yet.
know. That could be
Maybe
that
down the
level
road.
eventually.
Yeah.
But I mean that comes to mind though because I would totally name my ship Change. Time for change.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I can't say that anything that CIG has decided to do when it comes to this game that I've been very, very disappointed with. I mean, they seem to handle things well. They listen to the community. Clearly they're gamers and they very much enjoy what they do and they want to make the best game possible. So I very much doubt that there will be any problems with the customization. I don't think people are going to be disappointed with that either.
I'm disappointed in one thing: the lack of space boobs.
Well,
I'm a man of simple words.
the female avatar is coming. Apparently, yeah. You chuckle it up there. Chuckle it up there, smart guy. Anyways, right. So the female avatar is on the way. And
Sorry.
apparently they had some technical blockers with getting her skeleton up to speed, and they have passed those blockers, which is fantastic. So now they're just having to do some adjustments to the clothing and to the avatar heads, so they can attach the head to the skeletal frame, and so they can get all the clothing. They've talked about the male clothing is actually going better than they were expecting, and we're actually going to be able to see, with small modifications, a lot of the male clothing will be able to be converted to a female version. And it has been 5 minutes and you are still chuckling. You dirty,
I have
dirty
I have
girl.
a thought. I have a thought about that though. And why I'm chuckling is got to do
Because
with
it's
the
dirty.
fact
You dirty,
it's not
dirty
even
bird.
that. It's not even that. It's actually the fact that women tend to in the clothing industry, and this might be a sweeping term. Forgive me if it's wrong, but I feel that women have more accessories than men. So basically, they're handing off all the girls, all the Star
Well, it
Citizen
depends. 900
women.
years in the future, who knows what our culture will be like? I mean,
Well,
it's like if you look at some science fiction movies, like everything from, you know, oh gosh, Battle Starship
Battlestar.
Troopers,
Okay.
or Battlestar Galactica, where men and women use the same bathroom or use the same showering facilities, is because we've in those fictional futures, we've moved beyond the stupidities of ooh, it's a girl in the bathroom, giggle, giggle, giggle. We've gotten over some of the
Well,
immaturities
yeah,
of our
and
current culture, and so maybe by then men and women will have stylistic changes. Although to tell you the truth, I kind of suspect that as much as I would like to see CIG groundbreak some cultural norms for this fictional future, I don't think they're going to stray too far off of what we consider normative now.
well,
So you'll probably see more accessories there.
I mean, I honestly
Girl.
suspect. I would honestly. I hate to say it this way, but they should make Origin underwear. They should make RSI bras.
Oh,
I
they
mean,
should
they
make
should
them for men
honestly.
too. I'll run
Well,
around in RSI
exactly. Well,
skivvies.
I'm saying that's what I'm saying though is that should be a thing too because women are prone to accessorize a lot more than guys, and so part of that is going to be what does my character have on? Is she wearing the space version of Prada or whatever that day? Is she wearing just like regular Walmart
I
fashion?
mean,
Well, I mean,
nobody
what?
wants to talk about it, but we all want
Well,
to play Space
but
Barbie. It's
well,
understandable. We didn't get
it's
to play with Barbies when we were all young men. We had to play with
no.
little toy soldiers. Now we
Actually,
want to play with
I
Space
play little
Barbies. We
Legos, but
got it.
that's what I'm saying is that everybody's talking about how they want the girls to be represented. Well, if we're going to represent the girls, then we really honestly need to represent the girls in their taste.
Well, sure. I mean, I'm not saying that that's not accurate. I mean, but you want to create a game world that simulates some level of depth that makes it interesting and engaging. Now to
Did you not
apply,
get to play with virtual Barbies?
I'm
I just
just
gotta ask.
saying that's not exclusive to women at all. I mean, but at the same
I
time,
honestly,
women have yet to be fairly represented in our game, and I think the avatar is the first step. I mean, if we can fund 117 or whatever $1 million that we can do with only 3% of our gaming population or backing population identifying as female, then what happens when the other half of us start playing? You
there's
know.
another question right there. There's another question. Does Drake make belt buckles? I would so buy that if that was the case.
I think that it's probably likely that CIG will listen to the community and and figure out a way to strike a balance. Just they seem to be pretty good at listening and making adjustments that better suit the community and the kind of game that we all collectively seem to want to play. So I don't know. I would probably like most things. I would just kind of stand by and say, okay, well, what's going to happen with this? And
The hard thing with that though is right now our community is 97% identifies as male. So you don't really have a fair representation, and the
Right.
marketing hasn't even really. I mean, like my sweetheart, like we have a large investment in this game, and she is equally invested as I am. Now, our taste in the game and the reasons that we backed to the level that we did are different. Um, we have some shared passions about the game. Like we're both good pilots. We both, there's certain things about it we like, but like she really loved that it was kickstarted. She liked the community content, a lot of those things. Those were some of the founding things of why she wanted to support it as much as she did. Um, and actually, same thing like we were talking about military service prior. Her original investment was because she wanted to give a bunch of ships away to Marines down at in at the USO and try to use that as a way to get them involved in new and exciting technology and new experiences and make their life suck a little less when they're overseas. And and
That's actually a really good idea. Is there anybody
yeah,
that's considered doing that for like something like I don't the first charity that comes to mind is Wounded Warrior, but I'm sure there's other ones.
Wounded Warrior's big right now. She's a part of Operation Homefront, which again supports all the military branches here back on U.S. soil and basically active duty veterans. You know, any of us who have served. And their families
Well,
too. It's about like giving away homes. So I'm not really sure there, but I'm sure that if
but
you
I'm
asked
thinking
her,
about
she could point you in the right
I,
direction.
I'm thinking about that though. Disco Lando's dad was talking about how it allows him to get out and actually have an active mind, and get out and to explore and give him a different world to delve into. And so, would that be something that some of the veterans that are have a less fortunate circumstance would probably be able to actually kind of ease them into another basically another place where they could still meet people and have a social life. That's the kind of thing that I was thinking about when that dawned on me. It's like those guys that are that are confined to a room for forever and a day with no kind of social interaction. Those
Well,
guys would probably love to have that.
I think that's kind of what the USO does, and I mean
Yeah,
not
I
specifically
don't
Star
know. That's
Citizen
what I'm
wise. I mean,
asking.
obviously Star Citizen requires a good PC, and backing, and it's not a complete game yet. But
Yeah.
the USO does a lot of their funds go towards creating an environment for servicemen to come in, have a place to relax, have a place to play games or get on Skype and call home.
Yeah.
Food and all different kinds
It
of
was just
things.
a, it was
So
just a it was
yeah,
just a
no,
brainstorm that popped in my head real quick.
right. Well, I mean, I think that the CIG and like some of the guys, some of the big streamers do fundraising drives every year, and with to really good effect. So it's a really great community overall. But anyways,
Fun stuff, right? We get off topic really easy, but we go deep.
Yeah.
phrasing.
Wow, we just got off female avatars. I'm still got some of that left.
Uh, yeah. No, oh, so to the culmination of the point I was rambling before we got off topic was basically that my sweetheart, she's equally an investor, and she has a lot of frustration about how long it's taken them to get the avatars together. And on the one hand, I can try to say, oh well, it's because they just had to pick one character and blah blah blah, and just work with that. But at the same time, you might also it could be a very valid criticism that CIG should have made the effort to bring both a male and female avatar online simultaneously, just because that means that you're reaching out to that community equally, and it would change the way they could market. And I feel like they did miss an opportunity. And there are a lot of the few female gamers that I do know that are a part of this game. Yeah, if you ask them, they're all pretty disgusted with that, even though they've stayed with it until now. So hopefully, eventually they'll rectify that, and it'll just be forgotten in the annals of early development.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't sound like something. I mean, I think they know that was a missed opportunity, and it sounds like they're making the efforts to
Yes.
get it resolved. So that's really about all we can ask.
Meanwhile, I'm just glad I'm a boy and everything is my way.
Wow.
So what do you guys think about the landing bay technology that's coming up? The not just the landing pads, but
Yeah.
Grimhex is going to have those.
Yeah.
Dare I say it, rear entry.
God damn. Sorry.
That is in fact different than like having your own dedicated hangar at Grim Hex. We're talking about when it comes to the landing pad, and I'm sorry, and I know that at some point during probably one of Board Gamer's videos, he articulated the difference, but
Yes.
right now I'm drawing a blank. So if you could refresh me.
Well, I mean, obviously when it's your own hangar, you park your ships and it's persistent. I think I kind of suspect that it'll be an automated system where you're pulled into the hangar. It's probably going to be a minor version of an instance, is how I would imagine it. And you get out and you see some animation where your ship is rotated down and out and into storage. You walk in, you get in an elevator, and then you go. So maybe they'll do like some kind of personal one-person instance just for that scenario, but I actually don't know. And I mean, I follow almost all of Board Gamer stuff. I don't remember him saying specifically, so I might be drawing.
I remember seeing this, but I don't remember how the mechanic worked. I just know that it's in the back, and it was a solution to how the fact that there's not going to be very many landing pads. Actually,
Yes.
they wanted to try and create something different,
Right.
but they also wanted to give an alternative way to get into Grimhex that does not involve
Leaving
getting
your
strafed
ship-
at.
Yeah, leaving your ship
Yeah.
on the platform.
Yeah, and where you can draw open fire.
Yeah. Or theft. I mean,
Grand
I do wonder. I mean, like, there's a lot of necessary game mechanics that could show up. Like, are we going to have a way to lock our ships now? I mean,
maybe. I'm hoping that there'll actually be some sort of single-use item that will allow you to like breach into somebody else's hangar and potentially steal said ship. But at the same time, I'm hoping that item is incredibly hard to get, and maybe you have to be like a rank 5 criminal just to get it.
they've said that they're never going to let you break into somebody else's actual personal hangar, just
Well,
because like, you
personal
have to have a
ones,
safe.
yes.
Yeah.
But in place of Grimhex, you're not using your personal hangar. See my point?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's going to be a way to steal ships in the verse. Like, you're going to be able to bypass security and all of that good stuff via various.
Hey, that sure is a pretty ship you got there, boy.
Yeah. Don't fly it if you can't lose it. Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, Bayne, what kind of constellation do you have?
I currently have a Taurus, and that's I'm sorry, an Andromeda,
Okay.
and that's because it's the prettiest. And once they do the second pass on the
The variants.
the variant, specifically the exploration version,
Killer.
yeah, I'll probably be all over that. But in the meantime, I was rather smitten with the look with the version 2 look of the constellation, the Andromeda. So that's the one that I ended up going with. I anticipate that at some point it'll probably get melted down so that I can play with something else for a while. But as of right now, I'm very much enjoying walking around. I just wish that table in the middle would raise when I said that. That'd make my day.
Every patch breaks something new because it used to work and then
Oh, it did?
Yeah, I've seen
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's so just hang in there. It's coming. Like,
Oh.
I was blown
Oh.
away when they actually brought the side entrance on the Freelancer to life. I wasn't
Oh,
expecting that at all.
yeah.
I was like, what? That's amazing. So
Yeah, that was
Yep.
pretty cool. I had a freelancer when that was implemented, so I was just really really happy about that. That was
Freelancer's
pretty
a nice
cool.
ship too.
Yeah.
I remember back in the old days when I was
2013.
back in 2013. They would every time they would patch, they would not tell you what they had changed. So you'd load up every ship you could into your hangar and run around and inspect every animation, looking to find the Easter egg animation that had gotten put in.
Oh,
And-
wow.
Oh man, it was great. It was great. Like, so it was like this
That's cool.
iterative
He had
improvement.
to, he had to animate in the snow both ways. I'm sorry, couldn't let that one go.
So tell us about this Endeavor that you own. Did you buy a base Endeavor and nothing else?
He doesn't own it.
No.
Didn't say
That's that is part of the organization.
Okay.
I'm fortunate enough to fly with an organization that's got a fairly large fleet, and I was given my choice from all the the really nice ships that are out there that I would never be able to afford. So basically I went and I looked through all the options that he said that he had in his fleet, and I said this one seems the most modular. It seems like it's got the most potential to fill a variety of different roles, and in either case, it's going to need somebody with some kind of leadership experience. Even though it's a game, you still have to understand how to manage people to make the most out of it. And I felt like I could do that for not only him but for the organization and ultimately for my own gameplay style. So it really wasn't much of a choice. It was the Endeavor was the biggest, best exploration ship that was available. So,
what are you looking forward most to with Endeavor? Like, because I mean, it really does have quite an array of options. Like, is there a specific kit that you want to see it used for most? Like, are you going to go hospital? Are you going to go
Drug lord.
I think I am most drawn to the idea of lingering on the outskirts of a major battle and making myself available as a mobile respawn point.
Nice.
I think that just let everybody sit back and destroy themselves while Barrington
Oddly
makes
enough.
money from what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's that seems like it'll be. When I'm not doing that, I'm looking forward to getting out there and exploring with some of the best gear that's available in the game. So, it's going to be good. I think, if they can do that right, then there's going to be a lot of options, and there's going to be plenty for us to do when we're not doing what we want to do.
It reminds me a little bit of, if you've ever played EverQuest 1, it reminds me of like shaman and enchanters sitting around casting Spirit of the Wolf and Clarity, for money, and the and these basically they would sit there and they would buff people with these things that allowed them to run faster or that made their mana regenerate quicker, and then everybody would tip. So that you just sit there just casting it over and over, just getting tips, and you just make a boatload of money. Like, it was one of those unintended consequences that happened in the game. So certain classes were always wealthy because they had
the
something
skills
that was
to
so
pay the
in
bills.
demand by everyone else. So I could see that. You sit on the outskirts of a battle and just, rake in that money.
Yep.
And everybody loves you. They pay you with an open heart. They're like, let me
Until
give you
the other
money.
army happens to notice, hey, that Endeavor keeps on respawning people, and they keep on spawning ships out of that hangar. Let's kill it.
Yeah. Well, we've got two Endeavors, so hopefully we'll be able to park one on one side of the conflict and the one on the other side of the conflict, and Cantera will be able to manage operations on that side, and I'll take the other side. You know what I mean?
You guys want a war? We come provided to let y'all have y'all's fight and do it
guys,
safely.
go
we're
at
just, We're just helping. We're helping all of you.
Yeah.
So are you going to be a part of Operation Patchwork?
Not familiar with that. What does that mean?
Pitchfork. He's being a snot.
Oh.
He thinks he's clever, but he's not really.
No.
Actually, that's not too bad, actually, because everybody says that they're going to basically go and die in a blaze of glory. So that's the reason why I call it Operation Patchwork. I'm a part of it. I like it. Sure, I'll go ahead and die like 17 times for them. Why not?
All right. Well, for the listeners who are not aware of what you're talking about, such as myself, why don't you catch me up to speed on?
Okay, so here's the deal. Not too long ago, in the land of 2013, Trask. Basically, there is an organization known as Operation Pitchfork, and what Operation Pitchfork is intending to do is just amass pirates, good guys, bad guys, whatever. You have any kind of an asset, you want to throw it at the Vandal and actually try to take territory, then you do it. It's basically it's going to be a giant death match against Vandal versus everybody that wants to hop in it. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter who you are. It's a great way to make friends. It's a great way to get some combat practice in. It's going to be, and it has gotten to the point that it is so big that it is actually recognized by CIG. So CIG is aware of Operation Pitchfork. If you go, you can check out one of these ship skins. One of the ship skins actually is the Operation Pitchfork ship skin. So they're probably going to put Operation Pitchfork in lore, either as a great travesty.
It's going to end badly.
Or as a wonderful victory.
No. It's going to end badly. We all know this. Chris Robertson says, sorry, guys, that we're going to spawn all the things and we're going to face wreck all of your faces. However, we will give you we will give you proper due for it. So it was originally, all the backers were like, this is a good idea. Let's all, on the first day of the game, take all of our LTI ships and as a giant blob of ships and charge Vandal space. And then, and then eventually they developed the lore behind that to justify it. And, and it did. It got big. It got big because, what else do backers have to do, years out from the game but plan, a giant ordeal. And this ordeal is going to be, to, basically recapture what the Vandal have taken from us, rights and wrongs.
There are even sub-orgs that are just dedicated to just holding what Pitchfork might be able to actually retake. So there's like an Orion org that I seen the other day that's sole purpose is just to stake claim to Orion and just hold it there forever and a day after if Pitchfork should make it to there and get out alive.
Oh wow!
So it's a giant cluster. Probably going to happen. It's probably going to actually be what trips the Vandal into actually attacking Earth, and then it's going to be the thing that.
This is going to end badly.
Yeah, this is just going to this is how the shit's going to get stirred up, basically.
So there I was in Operation Pitchfork when the Vandal incursion began in earnest.
Pew pew.
Yeah. You keep that up, we're going to be harassing you for a part in one of our next lore casts.
All right.
Please do it.
Well, I mean, I do DM
Talk
and
a lot.
GM various RPGs, so I'm good at making up voices. I just don't like my own voice. So,
Dear
yeah.
man.
Yeah, no, it's it'll be fun. I mean, it's pretty exciting that it was officially recognized by CIG and that they give it credence. I mean, there's T-shirts, there's patches you can get for it. Um, there's even a challenge coin.
Yes,
Oh,
there
wow.
is. They've made a challenge coin for it, and also if you another little piece of lore, Lamp. You know about the org name Lamp.
I'm familiar with the lamp hanger flare that
Right.
apparently had some funny
So
thing
there's
around it.
Happenings,
But
yes,
okay.
yes.
So do you want to go with that, Traz, or should I?
Sure, whatever.
It was a,
So the lamp,
go ahead.
started off as they were doing a live stream, and Chris Robertson, the guys had to walk away from the stream for like a couple of minutes. So they put a lamp on the table and they put a sticker on it that said, we'll be right back. Well, of course, that started up the whole lamp confirmed, and
Right.
and
There's light.
and it quickly escalated from there to a cult following, to a cult, to a major religion, to
To an org.
we are now applying for religious status with the U.S. government. And anyway, right? So Lamp was then made by the developers to follow up on this little bit of humor as an
And it's an
actual
IKEA
in-game object. So it's I mean, my voice attack profile actually, if I say Sasha, tell me a joke, she's like, how many citizens does it take to plug in a light bulb? And I'm like, well, how many? And she's like, the lamp cannot be broken, you filthy non-believer.
oh god,
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Sasha. I'm gonna turn on voice attack just for that.
yeah.
Damn it. Here we go.
Well, and when I had gone from the original default configuration of Anna to Anna 2.0,
Yeah.
or not the actual Anna 2.0, but my own version where I'd gone through and actually learned how to utilize the program to customize it to my own preferences. I basically changed the name and came up with a bunch of dialogue for
yeah.
her, and I named her Saber. So there's and I would
explains
say
the saber.
yeah, well, and that was before I even had the rec to fly the Saber. So
Nice.
but at one point I'd ask her, hello Saber, and she'd say hello, and I'd say what happened to Anna, and trying to remember the exact words, but it wasn't good. Something bad had happened to Anna, and Saber
I'm sorry,
laughed
Bayne.
diabolically.
I cannot do that.
Yeah. So let's see if can you guys hear this? Sasha.
Yes, Captain. What can I do for you?
I got nothing.
Afraid
Yeah.
not.
Can't hear that? Ah, damn. Why is it not plugging in through the audio here?
Because you're wearing headphones, that might be a start.
No, I mean, I can hear it, so it's desktop audio, so it should be playing.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, well. Well, if you can't hear it, that's okay. It's the joke's gone past, I guess.
Oh,
Come and
So
gone.
sad. She's amazing, though. Sasha,
Oh,
tell me
man.
a joke.
How many citizens does it take to change
God
a light
bless him.
bulb?
Nope.
How many?
The lamp cannot be broken.
Sasha,
you
tell
filthy
me a
unbeliever.
joke.
Oh, anyways.
is he laughing at his own joke?
Yes, it's a fatal flaw. I laugh at my own jokes, and not because the joke is funny, but because laughing at my own joke always causes people to think that's not funny. You shouldn't laugh at your own joke, and that's funny. So I laugh at that, and then they're like, "Why are you laughing even more at your own joke, which is even funnier?" Oh, it's laugh.
But it rubs off on them, and then all of a sudden they're laughing at you, laughing at your own joke, so that they turn
But
are
I'm
still
laughing
are
at them
actually
because
laughing.
really it's ironic.
And so well, is it really ironic, or is it just a coincidence? I don't know.
Oh god.
But
Anyway,
I'm
total
just
nerd
saying
out.
our listeners say that they could hear it, so
Well, I'm glad that they could
Thank
hear
you,
it.
Bruce. Thank you.
There you go, Bruce. Man,
Oh man. So anyway, let's hit you up with some questions about you. You fly mouse and keyboard. You haven't gotten super deep into the PvP, but you're enjoying the verse. What kind of roles in the verse are you expecting? I mean, you're gonna captain this endeavor, which is very role diverse. What are you gonna do with your constellation? When
You know,
hardcore exploration?
I don't know. I kind of look at it in two different things. I mean, one of the things that I like most about Star Citizen is it's an opportunity for my son and I to have something that we do. I mean, he's
Gunner!
he's only 9, but he's
But he's pressed
gotten into programming. He's scary good at video games. Like
Nice.
disturbingly good at video games. So, I set him down with, Vandal Swarm and at the time his own Titan, and just watched him go from being like mediocre to pretty good in a matter of a couple of game sessions. And, and it just really blew my mind. But anyway,
They're just crazy, man.
yeah, it took me like a week to get that good, so it was pretty impressive. So for me, it's going to be something that'll be fun for my son and I to play. And, so I've got a Reliant Tana that's the 2-seater. And I always, whenever I buy these ships, I wanted it to be something that theoretically my son or both my sons at some point, or, maybe even my friends, or if I could talk my wife into actually playing. And really it's not that she doesn't want to play. It's that, Star Citizen is pretty graphically demanding.
Yeah.
And, we've only got a couple computers in the house that are capable of running it in any kind of enjoyable, So, I mean,
Got some time.
we've got time. So I'll
At
be
least-
doing
at
what I
least
can.
She's interested, or
Yeah,
or
she's
open to it.
Yeah,
Because, I mean,
she's interested. I mean, she's a gamer girl. I mean, she's gone through. I mean, I think she's beaten all the God of Wars, and I mean, so she's into some games, and she's pretty good. So, but for me, I kind of picked the ships that I thought would allow me to kind of go off and have mini adventures with my sons, or maybe a close friend, and. And as I went along, I realized that the Mustang Beta probably wasn't going to be a good escort for my freelancer at the time. So I upgraded that, and then I was like, okay, well now I've got this nice ship, and I've got a freelancer, it's got limited crate, so I found every reason in the world to justify upgrading to a new ship. And so at this point, like I said, I've currently settled upon my my Andromeda and my Saber combination, and the it's not
Saber's a
lost
force
on
to be
me.
reckoned with.
Oh man, and it's a visually stunning ship, and it's not lost on me that I've got a ship with it's 5 crew, or I don't even know, and the Saber's a single seater, but what am I going to do? Fly the Taurus by myself? So I apparently have some recruiting to do, but outside of that, I think I'll do what everybody really. There's not much of a choice behind it. We're going to start out with trading,
Yep.
and then as these other mechanics are introduced, we're going to have an opportunity to get into it and really figure out what tickles our fancy.
Oh, yeah.
So, so it may just be being a merchant, that's something that we determine is really good. As long as it doesn't turn into like a spreadsheet simulator or something like that, then I think that it'll actually be pretty good.
Right.
But I know.
I mean, I can see using that kind of craziness if you're managing like a huge guild and you're just org and you're trying to handle all the logistics. But man, that had better not be the primary mode of gameplay.
Yeah, no. And outside of that, I'd say that it's probably a toss-up between mining and salvage. It depends on how they implement that functionality, how fun the underlying gameplay is. So, I know that I went through and I enjoyed that little a little web-based game that they had with the mining and whatnot. And I went through and I got my little badge, and that was cool. But again, it depends on how they implement it.
So speaking of like mining, salvage, and I guess in regards to like salvage and exploration, lately I've been playing a game called Subnautica.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, I just recently got that from my son, and it's kind of gotten to the point. I don't know if I'm getting old or what, but I almost enjoy watching my son play more than I enjoy playing myself. So I'll just sit there and watch him play Subnautica. We got this. My main computer is it's got this big like 50-inch monitor that also doubles as like because it's in my loft and it's pretty nice. So I'll be able to sit in the back of the office and watch him play Subnautica like it's a movie or something. It's cool. It's a cool game. I can definitely see why it's become so popular.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it right now. I actually did a recording of it. And uploaded it to the YouTube like yesterday on the Subnautica thread on the Facebook group, and yeah, I can't get over how awesome it is exploring, interacting with the alien life and the alien environment, and like finding derelict pieces of smashed ship and then like cutting your way in and like having to like navigate in 3 dimensions at odd angles, and like you're almost running out of air and you're having to like make your way back. It's just super intense, and I'm sure that CIG will definitely be able to recapture those kinds of experiences. It's going to be crazy, especially when you get into like xeno aliens like creeping up on you out of the darkness.
Oh yeah,
Jesus. It's gonna
tap
be
into some of that
terrifying.
psychological stuff. Well, I'll tell you what game I'm really jazzed about is I'm a backer for Everspace.
Yep.
I don't know you guys have seen that, but that looks incredible. What do we got? I think we've got 2 days left, and then we're going to be getting our beta version. So I'm very stoked about that.
Yep. I backed it on Kickstarter, so I'm excited to play that too. So.
Very cool, and I like the fact that they're not trying to be Star Citizen. They've got their arcade thing that they're going to do, and they're going to stick to that and do that to the best of their ability. So I'm glad that there's a game like Star Citizen that's trying to do so much and to give you such a beautiful world to explore. But it's nice to go to the games that know what they're good at and stick to it.
So, question real quick: what do you think about the orbital mechanics that are coming up? The day and night cycles, the spinning planets around the stars. Here's a dirty question: do you think at some point in the future, not right off hand, not right off, but do you think at some point it'll be possible to implement seasons?
I with everything that they've been doing, I wouldn't be surprised to see not only seasons, but particular biomes within these individual planets. I don't see why they've made an art out of pushing the envelope. So I don't think that this is going to be something that's going to stop with even what they're describing now, and I wouldn't put it past them.
They did actually say one of the hardest things that they could do is weather effects. That to try and simulate an actual pressurized atmospheric system is going to be one of the harder aspects of the game. And I just wanted to know what your thoughts on that was before we go too much further. I know Traz is going to beat me up saying you're breaking the interview.
No.
No.
That's
But I
actually a
wanted
really interesting topic, and we did kind of forget to cover it. I want to comment. But I'm just curious to see what you guys think so far.
I'm looking forward to it, but I'm thinking that the very first weather effects, if we get them, are going to be very simplistic in nature, and I'm hoping more for biomes than I am for weather. I don't want to have the Star Wars single terrain on an entire planet kind of deal, like how Hoth is just like this ice, and like the Dagobah planet is going to have like nothing but swamp in it. I just kind of it's that's the only thing that ever irked me about Star Wars is that their planetary systems only have one type of a biome.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
the planet biome itself.
I think something that for me, at least when it comes to Star Citizen, is always finding that balance, because flying around in space would actually be a very dull experience, and dogfights wouldn't have a lot of sound involved and things like that. But finding that balance between fun and realistic, I think in itself is an art. And personally, I'm happy with what they've come up with so far. So I don't think we're going to have too many problems with how they do that.
I really do hope, though, that I get to crash land and get lost in the jungle and eventually make my way up a mountainside. I mean, I really hope that I actually could have an adventure also on a first person, not even a planetary perspective, but actually get lost inside of a world itself. And so that's what I'm hoping that they actually make.
I would love to have gameplay so deep and immersive that you could have a character that spends almost all their time on the planet side, or does missions where they don't even own a spaceship. They just, take the in-game public transportation or hire someone to, move them around,
Yeah.
It would be interesting, but I don't know that that'll be first iteration kind of stuff.
No, I wouldn't think so.
No,
but
absolutely,
I mean,
no.
But
Somebody who's got their dragonfly and they're just flying around the surface of their chosen planet, doing whatever their particular job is, however they decide to exist within that universe and being that particular role.
Yeah.
I hope that we get there. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but
I know building habitat modules in Subnautica makes me really, 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 really want to be able to build them somewhere on planets in, not even just underwater, but like, just like some kind of modular, you know, habitat that you can build, fabric
Yeah,
that you can build.
your own little secret,
Well,
hiding
Yeah,
place in
I
the middle,
mean,
on the verse somewhere that the likelihood of someone coming across you is just so very low, and it's your own little secret
right.
place.
Because I mean,
so
if
That's
do
if the planets are as large as they say, even with only like 100 systems, the number of planets, and then if you took like moons and you would calculate like large asteroids and you could build on those, I mean, why not? And have them have
well,
a decay rate where they, unless they're maintained, they decay. So if you log off and don't play for 2 years, your stuff is probably going to have decayed, and other players will have found it and salvaged it.
yeah.
But I don't know. Anyhow, now as far as biomes though, Vadran, they've talked about that already. Like they're talking about where they can paintbrush different terrain onto the planet surface. So I'm pretty sure that they're already looking at
well,
having biomes on individual planets. I haven't
so
heard
what about
anything
the
about the weather
potential
though.
for what about the well, I know the weather's going to be the hardest obstacle if they ever manage to achieve that.
Sure.
And the reason why is because of it's got to simulate itself. It's got to actually make sense. It's got to have a pressurized system. It's got to have a hot snaps, heat waves and cold snaps. It's got to be able to actually make a tornado, things like that. The red spot in Jupiter. It's going to be really incredibly hard to actually simulate an actual weather system. And even in a simplistic form of having just snow on a planet, I would be completely satisfied with that.
Yeah.
But the I had another question, and the question was, Bane, you're a lore nut. Do you have a favorite planet? Do you have a
I would
favorite
have to
planet?
say I like most of the planets in the Hades system. It's why I decided to start my lore casting adventures with Whisper in the Dark. I
Yeah.
wanted to explore. I wanted to explore that story and then do the follow up, which I did on the Hades system from the Galactic Guide, and really just kind of get into creating that world from an audio perspective to go along with the narrative, and really just enjoy the world and kind of open your mind to what could have happened there. So for me, I'd say most of the planets within the Hades system is is
So
pretty exciting for me.
you have basically a favorite system. Traz, do you have a favorite planet in your system?
I don't. I've read all the lore pretty much as it's come out. I've read through all the Jump Point lore, and I'm guilty of not having kept up with some of the more recent stuff. But pretty much I've read it all. But I've read it all once, and I haven't really gone back. I couldn't even tell you the name of my favorite story. I could tell you the story. I could tell you about the characters, but and there's so many good ones too. It'd be a really hard pick. But as far as like a favorite planet, no. Man, they're all so
See,
damn cool.
my absolute well, I mean, there's a really lot of cool ones. Like for example, the Min system is just a planetoid that's actually floating freely without a star system. There's also the black hole system. There's a system that is tidally locked with its star, so that you live on the edge of the rim of the planet, and there's nothing but storm towards the center, and there's nothing but ice on the back on the dark side.
You know
So
what I want to
basically,
see
I want to
is
see.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say what I'd like to see is there was a recent NASA discovery where they found three suns in a single system. So you had one giant sun, two small suns that were orbiting each other, and then these were orbiting around the other, and then there was a
Wow.
planet between them. So the whole pitch black where you've got three suns, it
Yeah.
could happen.
Yeah.
Riddick is
Well,
there. Riddick is there.
uh, when you were talking about the planet that was tidally locked, it made me think of I don't know if it wasn't was it the second or the Chronicles of Riddick, the movie where there was the detention center that was basically on this planet, and there was these great tidal differences as far as it becomes unbearable over here and then it becomes livable here, but basically the only place that you could get in and out
Isn't that
was
like
right there at that median.
a riparian zone, like right in the middle?
Yeah.
guess. I don't know what the proper term is for that. But that would be super cool.
Basically, it's just a what is it? What is it, like a twilight area? Just like you're on a horizon constantly, just living there.
You're constantly between life and death, and you're sparkling the whole time.
This say none of that vampire crap. Sorry, I'll pass. No,
You're
actually,
talking about Twilight. I mean,
no, none of that shit. I'm talking about like where if you're
you know how
live in a
you
night
know how
cycle,
we get
live in a
how
day
we get
cycle.
more press and more people to watch our show. We talk about Twilight.
Yeah, I'll talk about it. All right. Not in a positive way. I'm pretty sure that'll draw in a lot of press. No, favorite planet actually is Yar, and I'm not making a pirate joke there. Actually,
Are you
Yar is
sure?
actually a red rust colored planet. Basically nothing but a dust bowl. It used to be a mining facility a long time ago, and everybody just strip mined the hell out of it and then moved out. So Yar is the Star Citizen equivalent to Tatooine in my mind. Every time I think of it kind of like a just kind of tumbleweed, dry, nothing there.
Right on.
I just like that abandoned nature of it. I'm one of those kind of people that would go and explore an abandoned warehouse if I had the luxury and the time to do that in my own life. So,
I
I mean,
have
just
I have found some interesting discussion recently on the Nemo system, the one that's
Fish system?
supposedly, or no, the planet, the one that's supposed to be like a shallow sea, the
yeah,
world
that's what I
over,
meant. It's,
and
it's like
they were talking about that not being viable, because that wouldn't actually work. So because it hasn't been developed out, they consult with astronomers and scientists and things like that to kind of check their work when it comes to systems to see whether it's viable or not. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting because I love underwater settings. I'm a diver in the real world, and an ocean world sounds super awesome, especially after playing like Subnautica. But I mean, I kind of hope that. Obviously, I want them to make their planets match as close to real science as possible. So although sometimes what's in the real world outstrips anything that we've read or heard about in fiction too. You go into deep sea creatures and the animals and bugs of our planet, and they look more alien than the creepiest alien that we normally see on some scary movie.
Yeah.
well, I mean, what's that one flare piece that we had? You were talking about scary monsters. It made me think of the flares, the Scriver flare, like what, that giant predator that's supposed to be from the under the ocean. Like we have like a skull floating around, the subs do, of this giant aquatic beast that's like a museum piece.
Oh yeah, the flare. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I don't remember
I
what
love
it's
that
called,
thing.
but yeah, it is pretty good looking. I like that too. So I don't know. I mean, we're kind of getting towards the end. So one of the questions I had for you, Bayne, was gaming community wise, what do you want your org or your community that you're building to play around you, like family and stuff, to grow into? Right? Do you see it being just family and a few people and doing like the small org thing, or do you see your whole thing getting serious? Like, I mean, obviously to put as much effort in as you have with the lore and stuff, that's a pretty serious endeavor. I'd call that hardcore, even if it's
Yeah, well, I would say that I feel like I'm fortunate to be part of Barrington because I've worked with several of the individuals from there. They seem like just super cool guys, kind of the example of what the community is. As far as being helpful to get the new guy caught up to speed and
yeah.
listening to your ideas and working with you in order to try to get the most out of the game, and so that's kind of separate from what I hope to do with my family. Granted, they're not mutually exclusive.
Right.
I definitely expect that my son will be part of the organization, part of Barrington at some point. But just for my son and I think that it's probably likely that my original idea was to create an organization that was going to basically be a source of original content for the lore. So if we haven't, if I haven't made it clear, there's basically three types of lore that I work with. The official content that like the Kid Crimson and Orbital Supermax. There's the fan fiction lore, like I had an opportunity to work with Richard Moss and Hafel for the Max Dash Strange website, and he's got his own stuff, and it's really good.
To see him go off.
Yeah,
He was
yeah, yeah,
really hustling some
yeah,
great,
some really good
just putting
stuff.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah, so I reached out to him and I said, "Look, man, I know that you're basically shutting it down for whatever reason. I can appreciate that, but I wanted to let you, I wanted to ask if it was okay if I kind of, extend your efforts so far into kind of a different, a different medium." And he was like, "Absolutely," So he basically gave me content to or permission to turn any of the content that he's got up on his website into a lorecast, and it's something I fully intend on exploring. Then finally, the third category would be the original lore. So, assuming that I ever have time to actually develop my own stories, I wanted them to kind of be central to some of the adventures that I have with either Barrington or just my own personal, with my son and with my wife or whoever my close friends happen to be that want to go out and do something, because there's a story that writes itself when you do these things.
Absolutely.
And granted, of course, I'll go in there and probably embellish it and make it a little more entertaining to listen to.
Sure.
But the underlying concepts, maybe some of the things that the people say and whatnot, I fully intend on leveraging that in order to create content that will help also expand the universe for the players of Star Citizen.
You ever do any tabletop gaming?
Yeah, I played D&D 3.5, played 4.0, 5.0. So I was a DM for a while, and then I just one of the girl gamers that I play with, who also happens to do some of the voice acting in one of our lores, she said, "Hey, I'd like to give it a try." And while I enjoy being a DM, it's also kind of nice to sit back and let somebody else do it.
Oh my god,
And
that is the story of my life.
yeah, well,
I DM and I'm just like, can I play? I want to play.
yeah,
instead.
I want to play one guy instead of everybody except for you guys. So and she said that she wanted to do it, and she did it. She absolutely did it. I mean, she
Nice.
wrote these incredible backstories, and she put all this effort into these missions, and everyone had their own character quests based on their bios that we submitted and everything. I mean, she really went all out, and from that point on, I decided, what, I thought I was a good DM, but I'm gonna let her, she's great, and that's Hannah Sommerfeld, and she did
Nice.
she is our DM whenever we have an opportunity to get together and
That's
play.
awesome. You
And
ever watch any Geek and Sundry or see any of that? Like, even if you don't watch it like religiously, you know what it is. Have you ever looked it up or?
afraid not.
Okay, well, they basically do a really nice production where they have a bunch of like voice actors and celebrities in the community or whatever in nerddom come in, like Will Wheaton and such, and they will and they basically do like a D&D a tabletop, and they live stream it, and they rock out with everybody's in character and everything else. It's super cool. And one of the things that I had been kind of kicking around the idea of, along with a few other people that it wasn't my idea solely. I've heard other people iterate it before, and I think many people in the community are hankering to do some Star Citizen oriented role play. And I had thought it might be interesting to get a few people who were down for being on air and do something like that, where we run a mission where it's maybe like D&D tends to be very much about your character sheet, your stats and rules and things like that. So I was thinking a system that was a little more oriented on storytelling and a little more light on the rules, so that you could sit and do it where you have an audience watching the stream where they would enjoy it. So it's a little more audience oriented, but still a lot of fun. And we might do something where the setting is we're all whatever we are, we're at a port hub, whether it's Olisar or Grimhex or something like that, someplace else set in the Star Citizen universe, and we just come together as a team and rock out in the verse, which is interesting because, obviously that kind of game would have some challenges because Star Citizen itself is very focused on the ships. But when you're playing a game like that, it's got to be focused on the characters, and the ships are really just vehicles of the story. They're not the story itself. Just like if you watch Firefly, the Serenity, they're not doing dogfighting combat maneuvers and everything. The Serenity is just the set more than anything. And so if you're interested in something like that, I know we have a couple other people that are also interested in, I kind of want to put together a small community space for that so that not just one person is locked in as the only DM. And then, like, so if I'm the DM the first time and I have, 4 or 5 players that come and do it, yeah, I know there's going to be more people that want to play, and there's going to be other great DMs out there. So I'd like to set up this hub so that anyone who's interested can be a part of that little community. And maybe every week we turn it into a weekly show where every week a different DM comes on and runs one-off missions. So unlike a normal campaign this might be a little more episodic. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I might be really interested. So of course, I know what you're doing is going to take up all of your time in the same way that Station42. It's Vadron and I, we've got a little bit of support, but we're trying to expand our team so that it doesn't become a full-time job that doesn't pay. And, so obviously if we endeavored to do this kind of streaming role play thing, we would have to get the right people together that are going to care enough about it to to be there and be on time, but it's not going to wreck any of their existing plans or anything either. So getting that all together will be fun. But yeah, anyways.
No, it definitely sounds like an opportunity, and I don't imagine that there wouldn't be an interest in that. Even if the individuals aren't, even if they're not volunteering to be a DM or anything. I mean, I expect that. I mean, people watch that stuff and they sit there and they listen to podcasts where people are playing, Dungeons and Dragons, and they love it. So I can't imagine why that would be any different for Star Citizen, especially when we've got such rich lore to pull from. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, this campaign is set within the environment that Cassandra's Tears is, or something along that. That way, there's some kind of context for what's going on, and a starting point. And I think that even if you got something like that started and it was a starting point, you defined the parameters of how that was going to work. It may start with you, but it probably won't end with you.
Oh, yeah.
I just got a question.
I can't carry it all the way, but I'll try to start it. I'm
So
kicking it around publicly now. So if I don't start it, somebody else will.
So if you think about it, how many rounds would a size 1 missile last?
I don't think we're going to spend the time counting down rounds for a missile chasing you. Like I said, the vehicle and spaceship combat is a set piece, and it's more of a get you from point A to point B, or moves the story forward.
Oh, come on now.
We're not doing tabletop miniature warfare with spaceship combat rules.
Oh, what's wrong with a little bit of Go ahead. Come on, you want to. Get you some miniatures going on.
Well,
I know
tons
there's
of
somebody
minutes.
out there. There is somebody out there in Star Citizen land dreaming of some pewter diecast figures of vanguards and retaliators, and I'm sure there's
Oh, yeah.
somebody out there just begging to do it.
Well, I mean, maybe there'll be a Star Wars, like the Star Wars tabletop spaceship game. Maybe there'll be an equivalent with Star Citizenship someday, and somebody will set up the camera and stream that. I mean, stream it all, stream it all.
And CIG will make a profit off of it because they'll make a miniatures game, and actually, one of the first things that they'd sell for like $100 is an Idris. A giant Idris miniature.
Only $100? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Have you seen
Like a
Games
giant
Games
Idris
Workshop
miniature. Like
miniatures?
it's
Jeez.
like this giant huge ship with this little
Man,
clicking base and
you're
all
lucky
that.
if that'd get you a Constellation. My Constellation model is $125, and it's not as detailed as some Games Workshop stuff. Come on, man. Come on. What you talking about? That's a 300i.
Hang on, I got 4-year-old aggro.
Oh, no.
Anyhow, man, are there any questions that you have for us, or anything that you can think of for the community that you'd want to pass on?
Well, I know that I'm appreciative of the opportunity to get with you guys, and I not only talk about what I do, but I'm appreciative of the fact that you've given a platform for content creators such as myself. It's an opportunity for us to get out there and talk more about what we're doing.
Oh! What did I just do? All right. That was
Oh, okay.
terrible. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. I
Oh,
was
wrong
like, what
button. Wrong button.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Technical
That's
difficulties,
space
people.
bar.
Sorry about that.
But I've kind of got a background that allows me to know how to kind of get myself out there. I know how to work with individuals, and I can build my own website and all these other
Yeah.
things. And a lot of people don't have that. And you guys with your group allow people to kind of have a voice outside of what their technical skills might be at that time. So that's something that I'm very grateful for, and in any way I can help support you guys and to help you guys get yourselves out there, which in turn helps other people get out there. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be other lorecasters, and there's going to be other individuals who have skills and abilities to share with the community, and anything that'll make the game better. That's what I want to do. So I appreciate what you're doing, and at least as far as what I'm doing, I mean, you said that you were going to include a bunch of information in the show notes about how you can, either subscribe to my content, or you can find me on YouTube, or whatever the case may be. And for me, that's awesome.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
and that's a good point. Like, we kind of got right into the just chit chatting and everything else, and we might have introduced your name, but like, the listeners who are listening now, I don't know if you guys know who we're talking to, but this guy's the real deal, man. He does some crazy high quality content production for StarCitizen. Check out his website. I'm gonna link all the links. Like, I got like 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. I don't know. It's crazy. So professional. Like everything that Station42 that we aspire to do, he's got it nailed down. Lock, stock, and barrel, man. It's really clean. And the greatest thing is just jump into the cast. I've read the stories, but hearing them voiced, and then and you're doing a full production, like you're doing multiple voices, and then you're having other people come on to do the voices that you can't do, or to add more diversity, and you've got the extra audio in the background. Like, it's a full production. I've paid good money for audiobooks that weren't half the quality of what this fine gentleman is delivering. So please, 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 stop by StarCitizenLoreCast.com. I mean, you don't have to subscribe to Patreon, but if you want to be number 2, after that first person, that would be really cool. It's just and it is. It really comes back to the community. We do this every single week, not because we get paid. We're not monetized. I mean, hopefully we will eventually build a way for people to help support us so that we can improve equipment and things like that. But
I want to give away ships.
Yes, and we want to do that too. But I mean, the main point is that we wanted to give our players a venue through which to be under the spotlight, to have a platform to talk about the game. Because, I mean, like right now, like the last couple episodes, we've actually had some pretty well-known, big names. You're actually one of them too, and that's fantastic, because our constituents, the members of the community, are going to listen to all these fine personalities as well. But it's also equally as important that we bring on just the regular player, that hasn't been a backer for a super long time, because we want to hear what their experience is like, because everybody's story is different. And it's sometimes, if you go on the official forums, you're lost in the sauce. It doesn't matter if you've backed $5 for a skin, or you've backed $25,000 and you have everything. You go on the forums and your voice is just one voice amongst many. So this is another way to kind of give people a chance to talk about what they're excited about, because too many of us, even as big as the StarCitizen player base supposedly is, too many of us, we've already bored our families to death. None of our friends talk to us anymore. We've been disowned, and and we walk around with the brand of StarCitizen cultist on us, and so we're no longer allowed, within 100 yards of game stores, and so this is the place to come and get your fix of all things StarCitizen chit chat. So, anyways.
I think that we're almost done with the show. Any other closing notes? Any other things anybody wants to add?
So
Anybody?
beards. Let's talk about beards.
Yeah, let's do that.
No. Well, one more thing, if I've got the opportunity, we've got somebody in the Station42 chat here who is who's significant to me because he has become my first Patreon supporter, and that is our Bruce Chandler. I just wanted to say thank you in person. I already sent him an email and let him know that I really do appreciate the support. You know, I'm not doing this for the money, but an opportunity to kind of offset some of my expenses, some of the time and the effort that I put into it is very much appreciated. So thank you, Bruce, and I look forward to sharing with you some of that subscriber or some of that Patreon level extra content that you've unlocked, the blooper reel, so you can hear all the times when I've royally screwed up and I've absolutely lost my cool with what the 15th take of this particular sentence, and for some reason I cannot say the word "the," or whatever it is that's really screwing me up at that time. And I hope you enjoyed as much as I do when I listen through. So, and it's not only me, it's my wife and whoever else is doing these voice acting for me. They screw it up too, and none of us are professionals. We're just doing our best to make it something that's enjoyable for everybody. And there's some funny incidents that happen. So thank you for you.
I disagree. I think how you treat it makes you a professional. You do a great job, and thank you for develop. I mean, and that what's mind blowing to me is when you told us that you just joined Star Citizen like at the beginning of the year, and here you are, heart and soul, producing a full production thing. That's professional, and that's just good people. So you get a thumbs up from me. Also, Bruce was a guest on our show, so if you go back in our archives, you can actually listen to his show if you are so inclined.
I will do that, Bruce. I'm coming for you. I'm going to hear what you say.
You hear that, Bruce? He's coming for you. If we just put a bounty out on you for being, the most supportive Star Citizen community member ever. So, anyways, right. Thank you, Bruce. And,
Guys, we're going to go ahead and close off the end of the show. So if you're ready, this is where we do the final kickoff. 5 for the player, 5 rapid-fire questions. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Flight controls a choice. See, I do it too.
I'm a mouse and keyboard player currently.
Well,
favorite flyable ship and loadout.
He already answered that before, so you should say what flight controls of choice in your future.
I've got a buddy who's going to allow me to borrow his flight stick and his throttle, and I'm going to set it up with the system and see if that's something that I think that I think it'll become fairly apparent pretty quickly whether or not that's something that's going to work for me, and that'll probably dictate my savings patterns. So if that's something that works.
Take the half an hour to hour effort to go through the keybinds and make sure you custom set it up. That's my biggest recommendation to get a true feel for it. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. All right.
Traz always turns my rapid fire into a howitzer.
Yes.
Oh boy. Favorite flyable ship and loadout.
Favorite flyable ship would be by far my Saber. I absolutely love looking at it. I love sitting inside it. I love flying it around and not being destroyed the first time that I get shot at. It's an incredible ship.
Most anticipated game mechanic.
Probably mining. I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity for solo players to get a lot out of the game through that mechanism.
Ship combat, close and personal, hit them at range, or some variant strategy.
I think that I kind of I adopt the adapt and overcome methodology. So it kind of depends on who I'm fighting.
Whatever works.
It's whatever works with my current loadout, with the current environment. I think that being flexible and adaptive is far more effective than being a master of one particular type of ship that isn't going to suit you in all situations.
So stranded at a station and someone parks their ride, you going to leave them to it? You going to call for an Uber? You going to murk them and take it?
You know what? I'm probably going to provide cover. I know that you guys find some fun in being the pirate and that kind of thing, but I'm the kind of guy that derives my fun from hunting you people down, making sure that the normal player has an opportunity to get in his ship without it being taken.
All right, and this is the trivia challenge question. This is the one that I would not expect our guest to know, and I'm not certain that our audience would know either. So The deal is that what's going to happen here is if you get the question right, I'll give you a $5 ship credit. I'm going to go ahead and send that to you in the form of a ship skin or a flare of your choice, whatever you like. But you have to get the question right in 30 seconds. From there on, if you should get it wrong, the guest, the people viewing, actually get to take a stab at the same question, and they have till the end of the show when the music stops to answer the question in the chat stream. So, are you ready for it?
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
All right. What developer has a heavy influence in martial arts?
As far as a game developer,
I actually know that answer. I'm amazed. I never know the answers.
Bite your tongue.
what developer has a heavy influence in martial arts?
5, 4, 3.
Blizzard. I don't know.
He worked at Blizzard,
Oh
Check.
well.
but he no longer works with
Oh,
CIG.
personal developer.
Shut up.
I got you.
Oh,
No,
no,
I'm-
I'm giving hints. Oh no! Hey, I'm gonna
Shut
cost
up.
patron money.
Uh,
Yes.
You did that anyway.
Yeah. No, I'm afraid I don't know.
All right, man.
Check the chat stream.
Yeah, I saw Charles Berger, but you asked me, and I didn't know when I.
No, I
When you asked.
don't think that was somebody saying who they were. Not. Anyways.
Oh, it's not you. Okay.
All right. Well,
Let's see.
that was it, right? You ran out of time. Is that we're good? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
All
he
right.
ran out of
It's
time.
my final answer.
All right, man.
Okay, so I'll tell it at the end of the
excellent
music.
playthrough. You know, what's that? Go ahead, Vadron.
I'll tell it at the end of the music. I always try to.
Of course.
All right.
Vadron. Vadron.
What?
Vadron.
What?
Vadron.
No.
Cursor. What's
I
up,
know.
buddy?
I'm looking
What's
at the
up, buddy?
cursor. Wait, yeah,
What's up, buddy?
yeah, I know.
What's up, buddy?
Let's get out of here. Roll the music.
What? Oh, you gotta. Man, that's too quick. All right, hey, shout
Okay, fine,
out
okay.
to our audience. Thank you for spending your listening time with us here at Station 42. If you have any comments or requests, definitely get us any comments or requests. Definitely get us in the comments. Who wrote this? you know, don't touch the Google. Doc.
Anyway,
Fine. YouTube, Facebook, homing pigeon, rocket launcher. I don't care, but get it to us. We like your feedback.
Bayne, it's been a pleasure having you here on the show, and we want to hear from the rest of the viewing audience, listening audience. If you haven't already, please give us a like and subscribe. It keeps us motivated and happy. Thanks for everyone. We will see you next week. Traz.
All right, engaging the full Monty Warp core. Everyone grab onto something, because it's about to get real.
I think I'll grab onto my liquor. And the answer is Darian.